Is that Michael Sarah?
Yes, of course it is. I love Michael Sarah.
Good.
Let's see if I can set you up somewhere, like so I don't have to hold you the whole time.
I can hold myself, thank you.
Of course, that's assume.
Yeah. Welcome to the Grateful Podcast, Jess.
Omar.
How's it going? I haven't seen you in a while.
It's going. I've been feeling sick lately, so gonna talk to my doctor tomorrow and see if I have the COVID-19, the coveted COVID-19 that everyone wants to have. Probably not. I hope not, but just in case.
All right, I'm sending you lots of healing vibes, and maybe like you'll just experience miraculous hearing with this conversation, miraculous healing.
Thanks, that'd be sick.
Yeah, definitely. It'd be healthy.
Yeah. How
Oh, I've been hustling, just like editing videos and like putting out content and a lot of like introspection, and it's pretty cool. Like I'm naturally a homebody, so this is just like so this is like it's like a pretty cool, like I'm just making the most out of everything, like, but I'm kind of like, it sucks like not being able to like hug my loved ones, like you go visit my grandparents and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm trying to get my abuela, my grandma, up on on the podcast. So like,
that'd be awesome. It's hard to teach them technology though.
Teach them technology.
Yeah, my dad's tried to teach my mom how to not log in, but just open Netflix on her TV.
Yeah.
He's tried, I think 4 or 5 times, and she can't. She refuses. She wants somebody else to do it for her, so it doesn't work.
Oh,
but and it sucks because I can't go see them either because my dad has a heart condition, and then my mom's she's been sick, so I don't know, and I don't want to give them anything in case I do have something.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, it's a really like delicate situation, delicate time.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I mean, she's a cat though, at least, so that's cool.
You have a cat?
No, my mom does.
Oh, cool.
So she has someone.
Yeah.
To watch over her, I guess. He's kind of lazy though. He doesn't really do anything.
So like, are you a cat person? I think I want to get a cat.
I'm actually more of a dog person, but I used to be definitely more of a cat person because cats are assholes and I love it.
Yeah.
Love it so much. They don't give a fuck. I remember when I was a kid, I had this little cat named Fuzzball. And I was having a really shitty day, and I was locked out of the house, which happened quite a bit because I was one of those latchkey kids because my mom would always be at work. So I didn't have the key, and I was in the backyard just like waiting. And so I was talking to her, Fuzzball, about what a rough day I had in middle school.
Telling Fuzzball about your rough day?
Yeah. She listened, and then she bit me, and she ran away. So I didn't really get a lot of love from her.
yeah, dogs are cool. I've been like I'm mostly like I've grown up like a dog person, but I just need to like, I feel like I want to experience something else and like learn the temperament of a cat. You know what I mean? Learn that asshole temperament.
Well, apparently you can play tic-tac-toe with them, and if you flip them off, they'll attack your hand. So that's fun. I learned that from TikTok.
Wow. Okay. TikTok facts.
Yeah. I want a cat though. I want to have a cat and a dog. I want like 12 dogs.
12. Do you know what breeds?
For dogs, I definitely want a terrier, a little baby terrier that's small. I can just keep him with me at all times. And then I want.
Is that like Toto from Wizard of Oz?
I think so. I'm pretty sure he's like a Jack Russell Terrier. I have no idea. Cairn Terrier. I was researching them because people kept asking if I actually wanted a dog and what kind, and I didn't know what to say.
Yeah.
I learned some facts. But yeah, I want one of those, and then I want a little Pomeranian, I think.
Oh, cool.
Like, if you get them like groomed right, they can look like giant little marshmallows.
It's
They're
true.
all puffed out and stuff, and they're just like they're so. I want one to be following me around at all times.
Yeah, I grew up with like a couple of Pomeranians. Yeah, Baby and Fluffy. They're like they're sisters. It's just like a little fuzz, like floating on the ground sometimes. You know what I mean? Like,
It gets all over your clothes and stuff. It's great. It's a
yeah.
great time.
Oh yeah. And they're so tiny.
I know. I think 12 little dogs at some point. I've always said 9, but now I think I want to have 12 so I can have like a little army of dogs
Yeah. All right.
follow me around and stuff. If I go for walks and stuff, I'll just have them surrounding me at all times to keep me safe. And I'll teach them to be nice to other people, but bark at people that are like sketchy looking, like 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 the kids that. No, that was me. I was gonna say the kids that wear all black and like a hoodie, and I was like, that was me. So I can't.
You can have them bark at yourself, like.
Yeah, I don't know what scary would look like, but I guess if somebody had a weapon, then the dog, I could teach them how to smell weapons, and if they
Oh,
smell the weapon, then they can bark a lot at the person, and then I'll know to stay away.
yeah. It's like barking at some like ninja from around the corner with like a samurai sword or some little, I don't know,
Yeah,
like an enchanted dagger.
I'll specify which weapons, I guess. I've always wanted some throwing knives for myself. I don't want
What
a gun. I just want like throwing knives or something because
what do
I
you
think
want to
that.
throw them at?
Well, okay, I want to get like a board for that, but if just on the off chance that somebody decides to break in, that whole like, oh, I need a gun in case somebody breaks in. I don't want a gun. I just want throwing knives so that if they break in, they'll at least have a moment of shock where they see me with my ninja stars, and that'll throw them off because they'll probably be expecting something else, right? But if I just start throwing knives and like ninja stars at them, that's gonna throw them off their tracks. They're not gonna want to come back.
Scare them away.
And I think I'll probably like hit their shoulder or something. And they'll be like, ah, and then they'll run away. So they're not seriously harmed, but they're definitely deterred from coming back.
Did you ever watch South Park?
Yes.
Did you see that episode where you know what I'm talking about? Like where they went to they got like the like Chinese weapons and like Kenny took a throwing star to the eye and like died.
No, I didn't see that one. I've seen one where Kenny died. I think it was the 8th time when his body was cremated, and Carmen saw the ashes
Oh.
and made it into chocolate milk. His family was like, man, this has got to be the 8th time Kenny's died. Fucking lost it. God, I don't know how many times he's died since then, but it's been a lot.
It's like humor that's aware of itself.
Yeah, self-aware is hilarious. I really like the Nambla episode.
What's that? I
Oh
don't remember that one.
God. National American Man Boy Love Association, I think is what it's.
Man boy love.
Yeah, it was because Corbin wanted some adult friends because he said his friends were too immature. And, being in elementary school, of course they're immature, so was he, but he didn't see that. So he goes on the computer and he looks for chat rooms for adult male friends. And, interestingly enough, pedophiles were the ones that were responding to the chat, and he didn't know because he was like, I would just like to hang out with someone cool. And wait, let me see if I can do the voice. I am looking for someone cool and mature to hang out with, a young little cute boy like me. And he was saying he was like 8 or something like that, and he got so many messages before he could even finish that first one. He got like 12 at least, and they're just constantly popping up from really strange usernames, and he eventually went to go meet up with some of them because he thought that they were adult male friends that he could have intellectual conversations with. They were all pedophiles. And he gets there and they have like they're like, I got you a gift. And he's like, oh wow, adult friends are so cool. And he's like, yeah. And he like starts rubbing his shoulders. He's like, you like that? Like, that's kind of weird, but okay. And the FBI would come in and like the SWAT team, and then they'd arrest him. And he's like, why do they keep arresting my friends?
Oh.
This whole thing. Oh my God, it was amazing. There's some celebrity that starts, they have an initial, it's MB, Marlon Brando. So their organization was getting confused with another organization that was also called NAMBLA, but it was for Marlon Brando instead, impersonators. And so there was like a whole community of Marlon Brando impersonators in like this one like convention. And then next to that convention in a separate room was the other NAMBLA. So when the FBI came in to like crack down on them, they got the wrong one, and it was just a sea of like Marlon Brandos. And it was amazing. They're like, where are the little boys? They're like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Why is that so funny? Like it's just, I think it's just like the absurdness, like the unrelated things like being like
Yeah, I think so. And the fact that they can like predict things. Like, who was that one celebrity that went insane? They did like the body of Christ or something. What's his name?
Oh, I don't know. Mel Gibson?
Yes, Mel Gibson.
Yeah, Passion of the Christ.
Yes, Passion of the Christ. They did an episode of that.
Oh,
it was like before he lost his sanity. They had it in the episode of him like losing his sanity and he was going crazy.
Yeah.
He like went off the rails, and then later on, I don't know how much longer later on, but in real life he actually did, and he did similar things to what they did episode.
Yeah, let's talk about that real quick. I think that's like a common, like that comes up, that like the Simpsons like predict certain kind of events too. And I think it's like just because like the content that we consume like as a culture, I think it like sets a certain, like it plants a certain seed that, you know what I mean, like eventually gets manifested. Does that make sense?
It manifests into reality a lot of the times.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's because it's been put out there that that's why that happens, or if it's predicting stuff. I don't know. But there was this book apparently that supposedly predicted COVID-19, which is really interesting. It was in 1990 something, 1998 or something like that. The book came out, and it mentions 2020, and it mentions like some kind of disease that's going to be wiping out a lot of people and stuff, which is really interesting. I mean, granted, apparently every election year there's like some kind of like mass disease, like there was SARS, there's always something, but apparently it was predicted in this book, and I can't remember what it was because I saw it on TikTok, and that's a reliable source for information.
It's not.
I don't actually know. I believed it upon seeing it. Like most things.
That's interesting. Yeah, if you find that, like send that my way. That sounds pretty interesting.
I think I can find it. I'll send it to you after the podcast, and then you can look at it.
All right.
I can't remember what the book is called, but it was weird because apparently it was like some girl's mom's book that she saw, and she was reading it, and it said that, and she got freaked out. Like she read it, like she even underlined it and stuff, and she posted it so you can look at it, and I was like, ooh, that looks a little bit official there. But I believe most of the things that I see on the internet, so.
Oh yeah, that's trippy too. There's like differentiating, like discerning what to like take in and what to discard.
Yeah, exactly. You never know exactly, like you don't know what you should be absorbing and what you shouldn't be. And so sometimes it gets kind of mixed up, and then the things that you actually need to know, like school materials and stuff, get kind of like buried somewhere. But in the forefront of your brain is all of the useless information that you've accumulated through TikTok and Instagram and all these stupid like little tweets that have like 10 things I learned in my 10 years of life and stuff like that. And they're like, they post all these like facts and stuff. And then sometimes without even meaning to, you'll just like scroll through it and it'll stick to your brain and you'll be like, ah, did you know that an elephant eats 3 times its own weight? And everyone's like, no. And you're like, wow, I didn't even know that I knew that. Too bad I failed this history test and all my other classes, but I remembered useless information that can help me get through the day.
Yeah, there's a lot that you just said that I kind of want to like dissect real quick. So like
Go for it. I just spit it out of my brain like half the time. I don't even remember what I said sometimes.
So like we see how like this is like a really good way to learn.
Mm-hmm.
And like the way that like we learn in school, like in high school and stuff, is like very passive, and it's not like stimulating in that same way as like stuff on, I don't know, like BuzzFeed articles and stuff like that. Like
Yeah.
so I think that's just like a really like that's something interesting to that I just like want to bring awareness to right now.
Yeah, what if teachers actually found like a new format for introducing information? Like if they made it more fun, because I remember my comedic teachers, like my history teachers that were actually
Yeah.
fun. I remembered everything they said because
Yeah.
it was funny and they would tell a story with it. Like I remember everything from my 8th grade history teacher. I don't know why, but I do. And I remember all of the things that my AP Euro teacher in high school didn't teach me because he was too busy getting distracted every 5 minutes, which is, I guess, common with male history teachers for some reason. Like he saw a guitar in the back of the class and he just picked it up. He's like, whose guitar is this? And it was like some random kids. And he's like, man. And he goes up and he like puts his leg on one of the chairs and he's like, I don't even play guitar. And he starts playing. He's like, I don't even know how to. Do you guys listen to the Pretenders? I'll just play something real quick. And he just started playing like the Pretenders. And we're like, we have class. It's going to be on the test. And he's like, oh, yeah, don't worry. I'll get back to that. And he just like plays the entire class. And I think the other portion of the class, he mentioned was the Molasses Act. And my friend Tyler, who is notorious for asking stupid questions, asked the question, why was it called that? And so he launched into a 30-minute thing of the whole history of the Molasses Act and why it got that name, even though it wasn't really pertinent to the information that we're going to be needing for the test. And that whole day was wasted. But I remember I remember that stuff. I remember all the stuff that he didn't teach me. I don't know, what if teachers found a cool way to like teach things, you know, like those stupid TikToks where they have those like, I'm comparing everything in life to TikToks. I'm so sorry. But you know how they'll have those phrases, random phrases over here, and then they'll like swipe them away and stuff. They just did that for teachers. I feel like the high school students would be able to retain the information better probably. They're like, the Molasses Act of 1820. And they just start swiping away the information so you can see it. And then, you know, they'll just replay it 5 times until it gets in your brain. And then they're like, oh, okay, I know this now.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like it's a part of it is like we retain facts when there's like a visual association with it.
Yeah.
And yeah, like one of the like techniques to remember something, like let's say like a grocery list, is like
Mm-hmm.
you put each item at a like you're walking through your home. So for example, like I don't know, like I need like the milk. There's like the milk on my door, and then the eggs on my couch, and then like the apples like on the bookshelf. So then when you go to the store, you're like thinking like, oh, what do I need? And you just kind of like walk through your house. So it's like, oh, I need the milk that's on my door. I need the eggs that's like on my couch. I need the apples that's on my bookshelf. So like like associating it with the visual like helps you retain it. And then also like associating with emotion also is what like helps like he like ingrain that in us. So like
Yeah,
like
pathos.
what?
Pathos.
Pathos?
Yeah, you have like pathos, ethos, ethos, and logos, like the different methods. They're different literary devices, but pathos is the one for evoking emotion into whatever you're writing. So it'll make the reader feel something, usually sad, but it's a way to get them to pay attention or to emphasize a certain point or get something across, is to get them to relate to it either emotionally or through facts, or there's different methods, so they broke it down to ethos, pathos, and logos.
Wow.
Yeah, the more you know.
Yeah.
I don't know, I learn visually, but I also have to do it.
Yeah.
Like, I learn by doing and seeing, but my boyfriend learns by just hearing. So he'll just listen to his Zoom class. He'll just be listening to it while he's playing a video game, and he'll be able to remember everything. And I can't do that. I need to be able to see it. So shopping lists and stuff work for me. If I just write them down, I can usually remember the placement on the paper, weirdly enough.
Yeah.
Like eggs was over here on the left side, second word. Okay. And I'll remember it that way, or I can just bring the list with me. But in case I forgot, that works. I don't know. Usually I remember placements better than most other things. Like, I remember what I saw when a conversation was taking place versus all of the words. So I can't remember a whole conversation, but I can remember where it took place and where you were standing in relation to me and where the chair was and where we were standing and stuff. But that doesn't really help in an argument when you're like, no, you didn't say that. You said, well, you were standing over here. I remember you stood right here when we talked about it. And that doesn't help at all. So
the struggles.
Yeah. But I can retain stuff sort of. It's almost like photographic memory, except I can't do the thing that they do on TV where they just look at it for 2 seconds and then they have it. I can't do that. I just remember portions of it.
Yeah, the placement. I mean, that's a pretty like useful like skill that you recognize in yourself.
I don't know what to do with it. It helps for lines sometimes for
yeah, like
theater and stuff.
Yeah, how do you go about like memorizing lines or preparing that way?
Okay, so I have a bunch of different methods.
Yeah.
For me, the ones that work best, there's 2 methods. The first one I learned was in like Ventura College when I used to go to community college. My professor had us break down literally everything in the scene. Everything. We had like the who, what, where, when, why. We had all that stuff, right? But then we had to go through the script, and for every line of dialogue, including not just your own, but what the other person's saying, mostly like a little snippet of whatever they're saying or something, just like the ending of it, so you have a cue line. You write down a strong thought that it provokes in your head.
Wow.
As the character, like from the character's perspective. So you would be thinking, what the fuck, during this one line? And it would be like, why is he here? Like, that's the line. And you're just thinking, the fuck? And like, you write that down, and then you can remember. And then along with that, you also write down or you draw on a little image so you can remember it. That's what I used to do. And then going through it, I can kind of do it in my head a little bit, like going through it with like the thoughts and stuff like that. But now I'm learning a new technique with it's Meisner technique.
Oh yeah.
And it's more staying true to yourself and reacting genuinely under imaginary circumstances. So what he does is he tells us to do everything by rote, which is to take out all of the punctuation, everything, and just put all of your lines down in like a monologue almost. Like I have one here that I did. You can kind of see it. It's just writing down everything, and you memorize it by going through it and just repeating it, over and over again with zero emotion, zero inflection, zero anything. And then once you have that down enough, when you're with your partner, the other person in the scene, you can just kind of have the words come out as they would come out. So if your partner's talking to you kind of aggressively all of a sudden, you'd respond maybe defensively, and you would respond with that tone. And you're not doing it intentionally. It's just something that kind of comes out naturally. How you would respond to if someone was belittling you or something. You would sense it, and then you'd be like, hey, and it would come across in your tone. So one of the ways to memorize, at least for me by rote, is what I learned is like highlighting certain portions of it, and make sure that you don't stop the one color on the end of like a sentence, because then you're going to remember the end of the sentence and then it's going to throw you off. So it's best if you remember, like mine was, the ending of it was like years ago, and that's where that portion ends. It's hard to see because I have Michael Cera, but so it doesn't end on a complete sentence. So your brain's like, all right, what's coming up next? It's not immediately ending the thought, And so once you have that down, then you use a different color, and then you memorize the next section of text. And so you keep doing it with that method, and then you should be able to have it in chunks, and then you'll be able to remember it. You just kind of have to slowly go through it. So what I would do is I'd repeat it, and then I would, once I got the second portion down, I'd repeat everything that I remembered from the top to the middle, and then I would keep going. And then also, just to make sure that I got it, especially if it's really difficult, like this one that I have right now has a lot of likes and filler words and ums and uhms, and so that's really hard for me. So I wrote it down as I went. As I would remember it, I would write it down on another piece of paper, and after I wrote everything down, make sure that it's the same and stuff like that. So that way I'm seeing it visually and I'm doing it physically, and then I can retain the information better.
Wow.
And then it goes faster. After a while, you'll be able to just kind of look at it and kind of get it after a while, because your memory is a muscle, and you just got to train it. So you just keep doing it, and then eventually it gets easier and easier the more you go through them and the more lines you have and stuff like that.
Heck yeah. Wow, that's a lot I learned a lot. Thanks for teaching me. Like I'm learning a lot. Yeah, it's super super useful. It's like I did a spoken word, and and I wanted to like I wanted to memorize it, because I was gonna be like running around on stage and stuff. And one of the what I did was I recorded myself like into my phone, and I went on a jog, and I would just be listening to this. Like, of course, like I had practiced it like out loud also.
Yeah.
Like I was just like listening to myself and kind of just like speaking with myself, also with like I was visualizing like the exact like perfect kind of like emotion that I wanted that wasn't coming across in the recording. So it's kind of like those things happening. And and I think just like something about like really like in my case, like getting my body into it, like going on that run, it like just like cemented it. And it was pretty cool. Like I killed that performance. Like it was like freaking awesome.
Yeah,
So
that's awesome.
heck yeah. So that's one way, like listening to myself, a recording over and over again.
Maybe you learn best by doing and hearing.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like I learned by doing, and like I do my best to like listen like and stuff.
That makes sense. Yeah, with me it's like I have to do it and see it.
Yeah.
But everyone learns differently, and that's one of the most important things. Is if you're teaching someone like in high school, if you have this whole classroom full of kids and everyone learns differently, And if you don't know how they all learn best, and they don't even know how they all learn best, so you kind of have to figure it out. That's your job as the teacher. Then you can kind of figure out the best way to teach them. Like, I taught these kids in Italy over the summer, last summer, and I noticed that they were bored to tears most of the time. They did not want to be there. And I was like, I don't want to be here either. If you don't want to be here, like, I don't want to wake up at 8 a.m, you know? And so I had to turn everything into a game, including quizzes. And they didn't even know that they were being tested.
Wow.
It was so fun. But one of the kids cried, and I felt really bad about that. So
why did they cry?
Well, because I did this one game that I had that was fun, that I learned in high school, and it's where you get like a group of 4, I think, 4 people up, and then you ask them questions, and then, you know, the first one to get the answer right gets to go sit back down, and then the last person standing has to do something embarrassing. So they choose what the embarrassing thing is. Like, it can be 10 push-ups or a dance for like 10 seconds or scream or something like that, like in the hallway, or, you know, say something embarrassing. And it came to the girl, and she didn't even want to stand up. And she was like the last one, and so she just broke down and started crying, and I was like, oh God. Because I was kind of like, I was taking over teaching, but the original teacher was there as well. And he's like, oh yeah, you got to embarrass them. They love it. They think it's hilarious. And so all the other kids were like laughing and stuff. And I was like, no, that's not cool. I don't want to make people cry. Like, that's not going to help them learn. So, you know, he consoled her and stuff, and she was getting better, but the other kids were fine. And then the other ones that would lose, I had to break them down into different teams and stuff. And the losing team would have more homework to do. And anytime they would do something, because there were those kids that would like to get attention. So they would do things like steal the chalk from your hand and like draw something on the chalkboard. And I'm like, okay, so you get a little tally mark, and that's how many pages of work you have to do. So every time they messed up like that, I would just keep adding it. One of them had like 10. I was like, so I had to then come out with 10 worksheets and make him do them. And it was this whole thing. But yeah, games work best for a lot of people, even if they're different ages and stuff, especially if they're competitive. Like, one of them was garbage ball I came out with, because I remember a teacher of mine did it in middle school, my English teacher, and he was just trying to come up with something, and he's like, garbage ball, and he got a trash can, and he made like a ball out of duct tape, and he's like, here you go, guys, and he made like the lines and stuff, and this is how many points. So I did that, and the kids got really competitive. Like, the other classes got involved, and it became this thing where like kids would come in on their breaks to like practice. Huh. I had to make it harder and make it across the room, and it was this whole thing, but wow. They learned a lot.
That's pretty tight. How'd you get into teaching?
I really like English.
Yeah.
Don't know why. I just really like English. I like
you speak it very well, by the way.
Thank you. I mean, like, you know, literary devices and things like that. I've always been passionate about it. Like, I used to read a lot as a kid, and that was my escape from things. But my mom was mad at me for reading. No. Because I wasn't spending time with her and stuff. So that just made me want to read more. So I would read so much. It's so many books. But one of my favorite things to do in school was the portion where you would correct things. Like, they would give you this little paragraph of words, and this would be in like elementary school, and it would be, you know, just a paragraph. And then you have to go through it and correct things, capitalize the things that need to be capitalized, you know, fix things. And I loved it so much. I was super passionate about editing for no reason at all. I just really liked it. And I would like it if others edited my papers too. So I would ask like 5 people to edit my paper in high school, so it would be covered in red marks. and then I could just redo it. I loved it. I don't know why.
Wow.
So I thought it would be a fun thing to do when I went to Italy. And I didn't know if I could actually do it, but my boyfriend knows people, and so he asked around, and he helped. And it was his close friend Cedric who actually got it for me. But apparently he lied and said that I had a degree from Harvard, and I
Oh.
didn't know that. No one asked. So they just believed everything that I said.
Wow.
Wow, why are they listening to me so much? Like, what's going on? Why do they, care? And he's like, I found out towards the end of summer, he's like, oh yeah, I told them you're from Harvard.
That's right.
I was like, oh, interesting. All right, thanks.
You don't find out till like
I was like, that might have been important to know. Thankfully, they never asked. But
wow. See, you guys, I don't like degrees don't matter, but like at the same time, like I don't know, like
we're saying like have it apparently. There's this girl that I learned about. She was in the Senate, I believe. She became notorious for this. She lied about everything. She lied about where she graduated, university, which school she went to. I think she said like Stanford or Harvard or something like that. And it turns out she didn't even go to college. And they didn't find out, like she already had secured the job and everything. And it wasn't until I think way later that they were like, hey, wait a minute. We just fact checked this. And she actually never went there. They said that they don't even know her. So she became like a lobbyer, like, for lawyers' offices and stuff. And then, so she still works with the people in the Senate and stuff, but she works to convince them to pass certain bills and stuff instead. And it works because she's hot and she is really good at lying. So
is that what it is?
Yeah, she's really attractive. I found out from my acting teacher. He's the one that told us about her. He's like, no, guys, look her up right now. So we did. She's very aesthetically pleasing, yes. And he told us about it. It had nothing to do with acting, but it was just something that he had found out recently. He's like, guys, look at her.
Wow.
Also, I'm the only girl in that class, so that kind of happens a lot.
Wow, that's interesting. I was talking with my friend Claire. She's writing like a not like a one person play kind of thing.
Awesome.
And she wants to call it like the only woman or something like that, like and it's about like her life where in situations where she was like the only girl, she was like the only woman, so she wants to make it like a comedy, I think, if I remember correctly. So like that's just interesting, like the really interesting like synchronicity.
Oh my god, I want to talk to her.
Okay, yeah, let's I'll link you guys up. We can maybe all get on a podcast together. She's freaking cool. Her name is Claire.
Dude, that'd be sick. I wonder if I know her. I'm not going to say what high school we went to, but I'm wondering, did she grow up in the same area?
Yeah, I don't know what high school she went to, but she went to she went to Ventura College with me.
Interesting. I wonder if maybe not, because if it was Ventura College, I only knew like people in the theater department and then people in my AL class. I knew like very specific groups of people.
Yeah, did you know a girl named Claire in theater?
I don't think so, because
I
think I may have switched university. Like, when was it? When did she go there?
Oh man, I can't remember. I went like 2012 to 2013, 14, like 15-ish.
Okay. Yeah, I graduated high school 2014.
Oh, okay.
So I didn't come in until later.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, let's that'd be pretty freaking awesome to like connect you guys.
Dude, yeah, I've been the only girl in so many situations, which is why I talk like I'm a stoner half the time.
Is that what it is?
Yeah. People are always like, yo, do you like Blaze? Do you like And I'm like, what? Why do you immediately assume that? And they're like, well, you just said it smelled dank in here. And I was like, oh yeah. I had an old roommate that talked like that, and I kind of picked it up, and I just talked like that. My voice is a little bit deeper and stuff. Like, I used to have it kind of higher in high school and stuff. It's like, hi! Like, oh god, I hated it.
Wait.
But Yeah, it was like your customer service voice, you know? All throughout high school. I didn't even know what my natural voice was. And then I was like, I would say things sarcastically, and I was like, oh, that's where my voice is. It's down
Yeah.
here. And then I got like crucified for it in my communications class. There's this one note, I will never fucking forget her. I don't remember her name. I hated her after this because we had to have notes after we'd have a presentation, and they'd be like not really anonymous, but kind of like they'd write it on a piece of paper, and there'd be like 5 people or 3 people that would get to, you know, do it. They'd have to come out with positives, and then people would come out with negatives. This girl was like, I'm all for sarcasm, but your sarcastic voice all the time just kind of takes me out of it. Whoa. And I was like, bitch, that's my voice. That's just what I sound like. That's not my fault. I can't help that I'm a comedic genius, but like, I'm sorry. Maybe I am a little bit sarcastic most of the time. But that's how I discovered my voice. And I found out that I'd be in guy situations all the time where I'd just be like the only girl in a group of guys. And they wouldn't even realize that I was a girl, I think, until one of them, like, until we'd go to a party or something, and then one of them would get attracted to me, and then it would just ruin the entire friend group. It would just ruin everything. Because that's all it takes. Once they realize that you're a girl, it's like gone. Like, you're no longer one of the bros anymore. And then it's this whole thing. So I'd have to go to another friend group.
Do you like feeling like one of the bros?
Yeah. I love feeling like one of the bros.
Yeah.
Talking about stuff I have no idea about. You know, they'd be like, video games. I'm like, oh, yes, I play this one video game and no other video games. And they're like, that's so cool because you're a girl. Wow. And they're like easily amused sometimes. I'll just sit there while they talk about stuff that I have no idea what they're talking about. Like, what's that show everyone watched? Oh, God. It's that one show.
Pokemon?
No. Of course I watched that. Oh. It was recent. It's been going on for a lot of seasons. There's like dragons and shit. There's a lot of like incest and sex.
Oh, Game of Thrones.
Yes, Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
I would just stand there while they recapped an entire season because they didn't know what they're talking about. I was like, oh yeah, I've heard of that show. And they're like, that's all we need. Let's talk about the entire season for you so you can get caught up. So I didn't see it, but I heard about
it. My experience with Game of Thrones is I've only watched the second to last episode, I think. Maybe like some of the first season. Like, it's just like interesting fact about Omar and Game of Thrones.
Yeah, same. I haven't seen a single one, and I plan on keeping it that way so I can use it for drinking games whenever it's the Never Have I Ever.
Oh, yeah.
Until somebody else has like one left, and then I'm like, never have I ever watched Game of Thrones, and I just watch everyone put their fingers down. I'm like,
that's a good one.
Yeah, unless they get me, it's real easy to get me. Just never have I ever been to Italy. Oh, well, that one thing that I did, that's all they have to do. All the other things can be generic, and then it's just that one targeted thing, and then I'll be gone.
The targeted one. That's when you're like playing with strategy.
Yeah.
Spite.
Never have I ever had my dad leave our family, and then my mom turned to drugs and gambling addiction. Didn't happen to you, Betty. Put your finger down. Like, oh. That sucks.
Hey, how did you like cultivate this humor that you have, like this comedic sense?
I got it from my dad.
Yeah.
You just talk to my dad for 10 minutes. He'll throw in a good portion of dad jokes.
Oh, okay.
So I had to start studying dad jokes to be able to keep up with him, because a lot of people, like, he has more followers than I do on Twitter, which isn't saying much, but he has like 5,000. And I'm like, I'm not even close to that. Like, how do I reach that? I can't. But all my friends will start finding out, and they'll be like, oh, that's so cool. And then they'll just follow him in spite of me. And so it just keeps going. So I had to study some dad jokes and stuff and kind of work my way up there so I can impress my friends, because he can just do it instantly. He doesn't even have to try. That's his whole thing. He doesn't try. And then I try so hard and they're like, nah, we don't want that. We want the dad, the king of dad jokes.
Yeah, there's some magic there when it seems like effortless, when it's just like, oh my gosh, like how did he make that situation like fit into like these words?
Yeah.
Like,
Oh my God. Anytime I've been to the hospital, the amount of dad jokes that he'd throw out, I think whenever he's like worried or uncomfortable, he'll start throwing out more, which I do too. If I get stressed out or I'm in pain, I start getting really sarcastic and stuff to like brighten the mood of everyone else for some reason, and that helps. But my dad will like start throwing out so many dad jokes, and I swear I feel like my pain gets worse because I start cringing, and the doctor's like, oh, you're so funny. And then, you know, they do their stuff, and then he comes back and he's like, oh, where's the pizza at? And everyone's like, oh, you're hilarious. And I'm like, no, he's not. He asked where food was. That anyone can do that. Why are you laughing? I need pain medication. Why are you laughing at me? I think my favorite dad joke is one that I found on my own. I think it was on Twitter. It was back in the day when there were some good accounts that were like,
back in the day.
Yeah, it was like 2012 or something like that. They had those accounts that were like retweet or die. And I was like one of the few people that was on Twitter because my dad was on Twitter. And so I would
that's a really interesting reason.
I see that now, but I was very active on Twitter because of it. And there were these accounts, like one of them was called Retweet or Die. And I would just follow all these stupid accounts that would like post stuff that they found from Tumblr. And so I would post that thing onto my Facebook and I'd get all the likes. And I was like, this is the method. This is how you get people's attention. You just steal content. And I stopped doing it, obviously, because God, that's frustrating. But back in the day, that was the main thing. It was a chef's kiss right there. But one of my favorite jokes that I had ever heard, and it's the best dad joke, and I will pull it out anytime I encounter a dad who thinks he's funny. He usually is, but still, I'll be like, oh yeah, have you heard this one? And they haven't. So it starts off pretty graphic, but just listen. Just hold on through it. So it's a little boy and he gets shot. Hold on. So his mom's like, oh my God, we need somebody. Call him an ambulance. And then the dad comes up and he holds his son, and he holds him in his little baby head. And he like pats his hair down and he whispers in his ear, and he's like, you're an ambulance. He called him an ambulance. That's the joke.
Wow.
Yeah. It's dark, but I told you, if you just hang in there, it's a solid dad joke.
I appreciate how like into it you get. You illustrate with your body.
That's how you get them.
Yeah.
And you can keep that joke going for like 10 minutes if you just keep describing the scenery and stuff. You're like, the trees were throwing this nice gentle breeze, and the birds were singing sweet little songs of sorrow, and there were some dewdrops nestling in the grass nearby. And then you say the whole dad joke where he's holding them, and you could just keep going with more imagery. It'll just make it that much funnier when it comes to it, unless they've forgotten.
So like when you're stroking that baby in your arms, it looks like you're playing the violin.
That's a key part too. That's how. Of course, that's how you play the violin. You hold it like this, child.
Yeah.
And you're just gonna wanna, just like that. That's how you. I'm a professional.
Oh, good.
I picked up a violin once, so that's how I know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Fun stuff there.
Heck yeah.
I don't know. What else do you want to talk about in here?
I'm having a pretty good time so far. This is awesome. Like, yeah, I appreciate how much you're making me smile. Like, seriously, this is like, it feels good on my face and in my chest.
Thank you.
You're
Yeah,
welcome.
actually, smiles feel good on the face. That's.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have dimples. Do you have dimples?
I don't know.
It's hard to see because you have facial fur covering it, so I can't.
I don't think I
Sometimes.
have any. Do you?
Okay, you're lucky because if you laugh too much or you smile too much and you have the dimples, those muscles hurt on your face. I think I can't tell if it's like the hair, like exactly like that line that is formed, or if it's like I can't tell. I think you do like a little one like up here, like on your laugh lines. I think you have like a little one. A lot of people have dimples in like different places and stuff. But
So your
yeah,
dimples hurt or what?
yeah, they hurt if I laugh too much or I smile too much.
Wow.
I'm just like, oh, that's hilarious. You're faking a smile for like the entire length of a meeting or something like that. And then all of a sudden your face starts to like cramp up because it hurts. I don't know. I feel like there's others that encounter that too. Like, it can't just be me. I know it's not.
Anybody listening, please comment if your dimples get sore.
Please, yeah. F's in chat, please. Plus, one like equals one prayer for my cheeks.
Yes. Mine too.
Thank you for your time. I don't know, man.
Sorry for bad English.
Bad English. Oh, don't worry. If you give me a transcript, I'll edit it for fun.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Is that an eraser in your hand or what?
Yeah. So, okay. So I do art and stuff, and I have this kneadable eraser, and it's just fun sometimes to just kind of knead it. I don't know, and it helps too because it turns it to a lighter color. You can see it. It's usually a lot darker.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, when it picks up a lot of pigment and stuff, it'll get really dark, and so you just have to knead it a bunch, and then it'll become light again. It's really cool.
Oh, that's a good tip that I didn't realize. Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The more you know. You're
If
welcome.
only like Michael Jackson could have done that with his like skin, like instead of
Yeah. I think it would have come out a lot more natural that way too.
like an eraser person. Like turn me
Yeah.
into an eraser so I can have a different colored skin, please.
Yeah. It'd be a lighter color. He wouldn't ever get to that point, I don't think, of like pure white. I don't think.
And then like if
Light color.
if you want to get dark again, all you gotta do is just like clean up some mistakes on the paper.
Yeah, just roll around in some charcoal. Clean up some graphite pigments. It'll be good to go.
Wow.
Didn't Michael Jackson have vitiligo?
I don't know.
I thought he did, and I thought that was like his reasoning for it or something.
Oh, maybe.
Never
I don't know.
tell.
I thought like he wanted to change, but I could be wrong.
No, he probably did. Like, I thought that was his excuse though for a while. Like the deviated septum nose jobs that everyone gets in Hollywood.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah. I'm totally gonna get one day in Hollywood. I'm gonna say the same thing and be like, "Oh yeah,
A
yeah, I
deviated
had a
septum?
deviated septum," and they'll be like, "Wow, I had no idea you couldn't breathe the whole time throughout your life." And I'll be like, "I know, I didn't either." But now look at my perfect nose. It's just, I don't know, man, natural. It's all natural. The deviated septum there.
Yeah.
There's a girl in my
Wow.
class that had a deviated septum. She came back and I was like, "Why do you look really cute? What is something different?" I was like, "Your nose it's so like cute, and what did you do?" And she's like, "Oh yeah, I had a deviated septum and I got my nose fixed." And I was like, "You can do that? What?" And it was just straight. But I don't know. I want to, but at the same time, I feel like one day if I make it, I want to be able to keep the same nose. So there's other people that are like me growing up that have a nose that's not accepted by society, or it's a beak or whatever it is, a little Jew nose like mine, that they'll be like, "Oh, that's okay," and it's normal because they'll see representation in the media and they'll be like, "Oh, she has that kind of nose," like Leah Michelle or Barbara Streisand. You know, you see all these people that have it and it becomes more normal to have. And then it's not as big of a thing anymore. So
Is it Juno's when you have a little hump on it?
yeah.
I got one too.
No way. Dude, yes. Yours like kind of, I don't know, it's smooth though and it goes with your face. It like matches your forehead, if that makes sense.
It
Like your
doesn't,
forehead
but thank you.
has a specific shape and then your nose kind of mimics it, so it's like one cohesive thing. Versus
Mm.
like mine, if I go like this, it's like my forehead is really flat. It's like there's just no forehead. It's just a flat thing, and then it's just like my nose.
Your
And
forehead looks like pretty round for like to me. It could be a Michael Cera in the background. Like,
then or it could just be because I see it every day and I'm fixated on it.
hmm.
But that's usually the case. You know, we usually don't look the same to other people as we do to ourselves, you know.
Yeah, that's trippy.
Yeah, it sucks because I feel like we'll never be able to ever see ourselves from another person's perspective, you know.
Hmm.
That's like you can't see it objectively like that.
Have you
But
ever left your body?
uh uh so what is it called again? Not disassociating, I've done that, but hydro projection,
Astral projection.
astral projection. No, I haven't done that like intentionally. Like I tried though.
Intentionally.
Yeah, because in like high school, I had this friend named Alexis that told me about it, and she's like, "You can just leave your body." And me being the little Jew that got locked up in my house because my mom would never let me leave the house except for school, I was like, "How do I do it so I can go outside and go to the movies and stuff, but outside of my body so I don't get in trouble?" I couldn't ever do it. I just kind of like lucid dreamed it, and
Yeah.
that's all I could do. But other than that, I disassociate.
What's that? What
And
does that mean?
so, oh boy, that's a fun one.
All right.
So anxiety, when you get to a certain point of anxiety, and it gets to be too much for your little body to handle, and it's just too much all at once. You just kind of, it's a defense mechanism. You'll feel like you're floating, and you'll like feel like you can see yourself from a third person's perspective. Like you can like look down and you'll see your body there. It's kind of like that because everything just shuts down completely. Your brain kind of just, it doesn't know how to process the information that it's just been given, and it just kind of needs to escape for a little bit, and that's disassociating or like outside of your body. And it can be really scary sometimes, especially when you forget who you are when it's happening. It gets real bad. You like forget who you are. I remember one time I was like, what is a Jessica? What is a person? Who am I? And I was freaking out. I didn't even know what a person was at that point. It was just insane. And then I went to sleep, and then I woke up and I was okay again.
Oh,
It
good.
can be real scary sometimes. There's so many different levels of anxiety. There's like the nail biting anxiety where it's just little tension, like it's just rubbing something like a kneaded eraser, just absent-mindedly, little things like that. And then there's the anxiety that's like, shit, something bad's gonna happen. I just know it. And you're like, but what is it? And your anxiety's like, watch out. And you're like, for what? And your anxiety's like, watch out. And so you don't know what, but you just feel this impending doom that's going to happen. Like you feel for certain that you're going to die, or someone is going to come at you with something, or like the worst case scenario is definitely going to happen, because it just seems so much more plausible than something that somebody else might consider realistic happening, like nothing happening. But your brain is like, the worst case scenario is definitely going to happen. And then there's panic attack. And that's kind of like up there with like disassociating. It's like there's panic attack, which you've probably had that before, right?
Yeah, I can tell you the story if you like.
Yeah, tell me.
So this was my first night like ever smoking pot,
Oh
and
God.
and coincidentally, it was the first night I've also ever tried a kombucha.
Oh
So
God.
I don't know if that's related somehow. I'd like to think it is, but maybe not. Like maybe like they were like trying to fight their way from outside my gut. Like we gotta,
Yeah.
like, you know what I mean? I don't know. Anyways, So
We still do that.
yeah, so yeah, I got stoned for the first time, and I thought like I was gonna die. Like I couldn't breathe. I thought I couldn't breathe,
Mm-hmm.
and I remember I stood up, and I'm like, dang, I need to get to the hospital right now, and it's like super late, like probably after midnight, and while like not breathing, I like put on all my clothes, and I go into my dad's room, and I'm like Dad, you need to take me to the hospital, and he's like, what, like why? And I'm like, I'm dying, like take me, like. And he's like, what happened? And I was like, I
I
smoked
hate
some
those
weed.
questions. You can't answer them.
And then he's like, oh no, you're fine, like it's just the stuff, like you're good. And
It's
I'm
just
like,
the stuff. You're
yeah.
good.
And in my head I'm like, your firstborn son is dying in front of you, and you're gonna tell me to go back to bed.
I've been that tired. I feel like I can see his point of view. You'll be fine. They're dying.
Oh man. So that was my first panic attack. And
Yay.
I survived. Like it's just like a like super heightened state. But the thing is, like, after going through that, I feel freaking invincible now. It's like I you know what I mean? I don't know if it's like you feel
Yeah.
the same way, but definitely it's just like nothing can get me. Like I faced death. Like you know what I mean? Like, and I won.
One day you're gonna come into this, like, God forbid you get like shot or something, and you're gonna be like, this is still not as bad as that one time that I had a panic attack. I survived. I lived, bitch. I can do it again.
Yeah, seriously.
I don't have that feeling. I just have that feeling of, oh God, death's gonna come and take me this time. It didn't happen last time, but it's gonna happen this time. And that's what anxiety will keep telling me. It's like, oh, just wait, and then you'll have a panic attack, and then you'll feel a little bit better afterwards. You just kind of have to let it happen. But
Yeah, the panic attack is kind of like the climax, and then there's like a yeah.
it's sneaky though. It comes in different ways all the time. Like I've had
Mm.
so many different ones where I'm like, oh no, this is a panic attack. I'm fine. It'll like switch it up on me. And I'm like, oh God, no, I'm actually dying this time. This time it's a serious thing. And it's like, oh, psych, bitch. 30 minutes later, your heartbeat's okay again. You're like, oh, it's just another panic attack. But you believe it each and every time. You're like, this time is the time that I'm gonna die. I don't know. There's other times where it's like more classic symptoms, and then I can be like, okay, I just have to wait it out and I'll be fine. Most of the time it's that, but then every once in a while I'll get one where it's like sudden and for no reason at all. Like it's not because I'm stressed. It'll just happen randomly. Like one time it happened when I was in Vegas, and it was the scariest time for me because I was with my parents and I was just having a grand old time. We were having the time of our lives, and I usually don't have fun with my parents because my mom, it's it's a whole thing. But that time I was having fun, and we went over to the M&M store like I had been to 1,000 times before, and all of a sudden everything got dark, and I was like, what's happening? And I got like tunnel vision. I'm like, oh no. And as that was happening simultaneously, I was hyperventilating like I've never hyperventilated before, because it wasn't just like like when it starts to build and it gets worse, it just started at the top already, and it was out of nowhere, and I just couldn't see anything, and I just kind of like crumbled down to the ground. I couldn't really hear. All I could hear was like, do you need to go to the hospital? And it was so far away, and I was like, that's all, because I knew what was happening, but I also thought I was dying, but at the same time I didn't want to inconvenience the workers. So I just sat there in a little crumpled up little ball, hyperventilating and freaking out, and I couldn't see anything. I just knew that there were people around, and I just remember the last thing I saw was like this one person was walking by, and I was like, now it's safe to go down to the ground because they aren't looking at me anymore. And that's it was just bad. And then after a while, it was like, when I started to calm back down, my parents were like freaking out. My dad knew what it was because he's had it before. He has anxiety. My mom was just like, we need to talk to the hospital. Call the hospital. I'm like, no, don't worry, it'll be fine. And then, afterwards, I just had some water. This poor M&M's World staff member had to sit through it all with me, like got a chair for me and stuff. And she just like was kind of uncertain as to what to do, but she knew that she couldn't just leave. So she just tried her best to like help me through it. And then afterwards it was fine. I could just leave. We just went on our way. I just feel bad about it. I still think about it to this day. I wonder what that girl's life is like now. I wonder if she thinks about that one time that this girl like hyperventilated onto the floor of her store that she was probably managing. Like, I don't know. I wonder if she thinks about it at all, or if she's just like, what oh yeah, I kind of remember that, you know, because it seems so much bigger in your head. Like, you remember everything that's happened to you, but you don't really remember anything that's happened to other people around you, and they're all thinking the same thing. So it's kind of comforting to know that they probably aren't thinking about you. And it's also a little bit sad sometimes, you know.
I think it's liberating.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice sometimes to, you know, think about all of those embarrassing moments that fill your head at like 3 a.m. when you're trying to sleep. You're like, your brain's like, remember that one time when you did this one thing and everyone looked at you? Remember how embarrassing that was? Ha, idiot. And it'll just keep going with all of the other stuff that you've done and things that have happened to you. But then you think about it and you don't remember anybody else like tripping in front of you, probably. Like, I can't think of anything like that. I can't think of other people like tripping and falling or doing something embarrassing or saying something stupid, but I remember every single time I've done that. And just thinking about how you don't remember the stuff that other people have done kind of helps, because they probably aren't thinking about what you've done because they're focused on their own little narrative in their own head, where they're the one-man show with their own little story and they're the main character. That's just everyone. So it's comforting sometimes, but it's also lonely sometimes. You have to find a balance.
Do you read books?
I love books.
Have you heard of The Fifth Agreement?
No.
So there's a really interesting concept that you kind of touched on, and that's we all, it's like kind of like there's like a movie theater in your head, in Jess's head, and there's a movie playing, and then there's a movie and a movie theater in my head, and we may have like the same characters. Like, we both have like, I don't know, like we both know Zach, so we both have a Zach
Yeah.
in our movie. But the thing is, like, the Zach in Omar's movie, if I go into your movie theater, I see Zach on the screen, I'll be like, hey, that's not Zach. That's not the Zach that I know. Like,
Yeah.
but even though it's like, it comes from the same one.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So it's like
Yeah,
we all have
perspective.
yeah, yeah, and it's like really really interesting too. Like, if you could, like, I think about like my brother too. Like, my brother and I have a lot of the same characters in our life, like the same like parents, same family, but then they would be different. Like, if I would go into his movie as opposed to like my movie. So yeah, that's a really interesting
Yeah.
concept in that book, The Fifth Agreement.
That's interesting, because when you think about it, it's like you can think of the same person, you and somebody else, and like Zach to me is like this godlike figure because I love him to death. And then to somebody else, he could just be like this one guy that plays in a coffee shop. And I'm like, how are you not seeing the same person that I'm seeing? Like, are we looking at the same person? It's just interesting because the way you view people is so different from the way other people can view you, which is also helpful when it comes to thinking about yourself, you know, because you think, oh shit, I'm the worst person I know. Like, I can't believe I just did that stupid thing. Or like, God, I'm so annoying. I've annoyed myself so many times, especially during quarantine. You're just like, this stupid bitch, what did you just put the car keys in the freezer? Like, stupid things. And you're like, how do you do that? You know? And then somebody else will be like, you're the nicest person I know. And I'm like, you don't know a lot of people. But then it's like, oh, maybe that's valid because, you know, these are the interactions that we've had together. And, you know, to some people, I could be like the worst person that they know, or I could be the most annoying. Because I remember back in the day in middle school or elementary school, I had this friend named Kristen, and she really liked annoying people. And I found out that it's because she liked the attention, and it was sad because I was in that same place of like, nobody likes me. So the only way to get somebody's attention is to be annoying. And so that's what we would do. We would be really annoying. And then it's like, after, I don't know, a year of that, I was like, God, that's annoying. I don't want to be that person. I can't believe I was that person.
Wow. Wait, how did that awareness come? What made that shift?
Well, I'm usually pretty self-aware all the time because I'm constantly like judging myself. I'm constantly critiquing myself. So if I do something like that, and this is a whole other thing, but when I was a kid, I had this constant need to be perfect. I had that strive, like I felt like I needed to be the perfect person because there's so many reasons, but one of them was like, you know, I grew up in a broken family, and so I thought that the only way to get somebody to love me was if I was perfect. I was like the most perfect person ever, and if I did that, people wouldn't be mad at me. I could be able to have a relationship. I'd find love. I'd get all of the things that I wanted. I just had to be perfect at everything. Like somebody's yelling at me, I got to find a way to be like calm and patient because that's what I would want in that situation. It's just this whole thing that would happen, and I had that mindset as a kid, but it wasn't like this, oh, gotta be the best. It was like this unhealthy need. And it was kind of crippling too because it definitely wasn't healthy at all. But every year I would like analyze myself, and I try to be better than I was the year before, and I'd have like a glow up, if you will. So I'd like change my hair, and I'd like try and change my mentality and be like, this one's going to be the best one. So I was like, God, I don't want to be that annoying person. Like, why? I wouldn't like that person if they were being annoying to me. I probably wouldn't even really think about them. Why would I want to do that? So I just focused on being better and not being annoying. But, you know, now it's so subjective. You can be annoying to somebody else just by talking like this. I could be annoying tens of 12s of people. I don't know how many people watch this, but like, God forbid it goes viral and everyone's like, this is the most annoying girl on the planet. You never know. So it's just this narrative that goes in my brain at all times, and it never stops running. And it's just this like little hamster going real fast in my brain. And especially when it's time to sleep, that's when he's running the fastest. It's going like crazy. I don't know. It's just, I feel like there should be a thing I can draw with that. I feel like there already is.
That you can
About
draw?
this.
What do you mean?
Yeah, like a thing. Okay, drawing like my profile or something, and then inside my brain you can see the little hamster that's running and sweating profusely. But then above that hamster is this other thing, which is like anxiety. And that's the thing that's putting the pressure on the little hamster and making him run at hyperspeed, especially when it's time to go to sleep. So we'll have that thing. And I wonder if maybe it'll just be this meta thing where it just keeps going, because there's got to be something that controls the anxiety. Like, where does the anxiety come from? What if anxiety has pressure too? And then you got to put the thing that has the pressure on the anxiety, and then the thing that has the pressure on the pressure, and it just keeps going.
Yeah, that's one way that I've heard it explained is that we have a monkey mind. Like we have like, imagine like there's like a monkey within our brain.
Did you see the TED Talk with it?
I think so. Yeah, probably.
I think I know what you're talking about. Keep going.
Yeah. Yeah, I believe it's called a makura or a mukura, something like that. And basically you it's just like like an animal that is like super active, and there are techniques to like give that animal something to do or to like calm it down, which is like meditation or like certain mantras and like things along those lines. So it's just like, it's like one of the annoying features of the human mind that we also have like science and techniques and practical like practices that we can do to calm that monkey down and to really get in touch with like peace and tranquility and stuff. Do you meditate at all?
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
just, the thing is with my brain is that, and by the way, we watched a completely different video, I think, because mine was about procrastination, but it also talked about that monkey.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah. He talked about like procrastination and how it's like a monkey, and then it goes like ape shit when it's like time to do something.
Yeah.
But the way my brain works is like, it didn't used to be like this, but right now especially because I have so much more time on my hands. It's like I need an outlet, right? So I do art, and then I put everything I have into that art piece, and I feel better for a day, and then it comes back. And sometimes it's like immediately after I finish, and then sometimes I feel like it's exhausted, like after I've done that thing, like it's all out, it's good. And then it's like the art isn't enough anymore, and then I have to do something else, like dance, or I have to watch a musical, or I have to do this puzzle that I've been doing. Like it's never enough anymore. It keeps going. Like I do yoga, and that helps for the time being, and then I feel better for like 30 minutes, and then it comes back. It's just a constant thing, and constantly trying to figure out how to please the anxiety monkey in your brain is like ridiculously hard sometimes. You'll do
Yeah.
everything right, or at least you think you are. You have tea, you have your little setup, you're thinking about everything, and you do your yoga practice, and your back feels a bit better, and your brain feels more calm. You're like, cool, I did it. Time to, oh shit, it's back. I need to make something. I need to go and I need to cook. I need to cook something. But now there's this mess. You've made a mess after you cooked, and you feel better, but then there's this mess that you have to clean up. So then you do that, and then it's like, well, now there's another thing. It's not good enough. You have to do the next thing. It's just constantly there. It's just this constant need to do something productive. And it's crazy because I tell other people all the time that you don't have to do that in this time. Like, I'm telling them these things because I need to tell myself those things, where you don't have to be productive to feel better. You just need to focus on yourself. And sometimes getting out of bed and attending to your own basic needs is enough. Like, have you eaten today? Have you had enough water? Did you take your medication that you're supposed to take every day? Did you brush your teeth? Sometimes just doing those basic things is hard enough without putting additional pressure on yourself. But sometimes it's just hard for me to get past that. And I'm like, well, now that I've done all those things, I have to do this other thing. And it's exhausting. But one of the other things I found out that works is, I've only done it like once or twice, where I'll stay up to like 4 a.m. just researching everything that's like plaguing my brain. Like, one of the things I had for a while was, it wasn't necessarily, it was that impersonation thing where you're feeling like you don't
Imposter syndrome.
yeah, imposter syndrome. That was a symptom of this other thing. It was like failure of succeeding or something. I don't know. Oh, okay. I was like, why do I keep shooting down opportunities before I get them? Why do I keep, self-sabotaging? And I went through this whole thing. I broke down everything of, well, that's caused by this, and what caused that caused this, and then all of these things. And then you see like, oh, it's because I have this fear of failure, that I am afraid of letting myself succeed because I know that I'll end up fucking it up at some point. Or you feel like you aren't worthy of these things, and it's going to be taken away anyway, so it's better to just shut it down before it gets to that point. Or you're taking it into your own hands. It's a fear of losing control. You don't want somebody else to have control over your fate. So it's just this whole thing. And I just sat there and I broke down everything on this like piece of paper. And when I got to like the bottom of it, I felt okay again, and that's when I was able to go to sleep. I just don't have the time to do that every single night, but that helps too.
Yeah. Wow. Hey, by the way, thanks for being so open. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I'm open and I'm vulnerable and I'm easy to trick, which is what John Mulaney said, something like that in one of his things, one of his stand-ups. He talked about how he was young and easy to trick. I feel like I'm like that. I was very open and vulnerable, and I'm very trusting with people, like too trusting. And I'm like immediately thinking, oh, well, they're not a criminal. Like if they just got out of jail, I'm like, well, they might have been this, that maybe they had to do that to feed their family. It's like, that's the immediate thing that my brain jumps to. The conclusion that it jumps to is like seeing the best in people. So if I see a murderer in front of me, Hitler, no, I'm not going to be like, oh, he was just misunderstood. But Twisty the Clown from American Horror Story. I saw it from the start. I was like, he was just misunderstood. So a lot of times I'll just see someone that somebody else would be terrified of, and I'd be like, oh, they're just misunderstood. You know, we just don't know what it's like from their perspective. And I will think that up till the point where they kill me. I swear to God, I will like be like, oh no, they're just getting the knife because they think that they need to, oh shit, I'm dead. I will think that up until the moment it's too late. I will trust them until it's, you know, until the trust has been gone. It depends, because, you know, strangers, it's easy to keep them at a distance. It's easy to, if somebody comes up at you and is like, oh, I really like that thing that you did. It's like, great, thank you so much. And then you keep them safely at a distance. But then the other people, you know, you'll meet at a party or in a class or something like that, and you just trust them immediately, and you give them that trust until they do something to take it away or to break that trust. And it just sucks sometimes, because you can end up with the best friends ever that way, but then you can also have those friendships just get tarnished and just completely destroy you for a long period of time, because they'll break your faith in something like trusting men or something like that. You know, something will happen, and it's because you were so open and you let that person in, but at the same time, you know that you wouldn't have gotten all those beautiful memories and those amazing moments too if you hadn't been. So you would have been safe, but you wouldn't have had all those great moments that you had before the worst moment, you know. It's just, it's a gamble, and it's hard to find the right balance of, do I trust this person, or, you know, should I keep them at a safe distance until they've proven themselves? And even then, it's like, should I still trust them because then they could hurt me? Or do I give them all of the trust and just hope that they don't do anything to hurt me? It's just, you never really know. But it's important to find a balance, whatever that balance is. I'll let you know when I find it.
All right. Yeah, I mean, I'm a couple years older than you, and I'd like the more like experience I get, the less people I allow into my inner circle. Like, I'm just super like picky and selective with the people that I like really let in, that I like spend my time with all the time.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I think that you're, you know, like you're on the right track. Like you're definitely, like, you value like the way you feel. You value like what your trust means to you. So that's you know, you want somebody that's going to cherish that, or like, you know, like the people that you keep around, like. So
Yeah.
yeah, definitely. It's like sometimes it's tough too, like keeping somebody away that like may be toxic, that like you know, like I've lost friends before just like because I've done stupid stuff. And
Yeah.
at the same time, like I like wouldn't have done, I mean, like I did stupid stuff and like pushed somebody that was toxic away. So it's just like things like that, where it's like it works out for the good, because I don't have this influence in my life anymore, and there's like kind of this like scar of a memory in the back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have that too. I've lost a lot of friends from various reasons, and a lot of times I immediately assume that it's me, but I'll talk to another friend that I had from the same friend group, somebody that maybe I didn't appreciate fully, you know? It was just, we were all in the same friend group and we all loved each other the same. And then it's like that whole friend group gets taken away from me. And then I have that one friend that's like, actually, the way they were treating you was kind of bad. Like, I noticed that the way they talked about you was, you know, kind of negative. They were very childish about stuff. And I was like, I didn't even think about that. I would just get consumed in that feeling of having a friend group, like a safe haven, that I didn't even think about that because I was on the inside of it and it wasn't affecting me. And then after the fact, now that it's affecting me, it's like, oh shit, I don't want to be that person. I don't like being on the other side of it. But as much as it hurts, it's still better than being with a friend group that maybe didn't appreciate you to the fullest, or didn't see you as you really were and kind of took advantage of you and took you for granted, you know? And maybe, yeah, you have 7 less friends than you did, but you have one really good friend that you got from that, who was able to understand and see everything that was going on and was in a similar position to you. and you didn't even think about it. And it's interesting because I've always had like different levels of friend groups. Like I'm very open with strangers and stuff. And then at the same time, it's like I won't invite them over to like hang out just on a random day. You know, I'm going to keep very specific people that I have to like hang out with. And I won't, if I do hang out with them, I won't come to them for anything because I have the people that I need that I trust with those things. And it's like, eventually that person can work their way up to becoming that person to me. But for the most part, like I'll hang out in social situations with them and it's fine, but I'm not going to like invite them over to like play games or something just because it's not the first person I would think of. So there's so many different levels to friend groups, and there's different levels to like how much stuff I'll tell because, you know, I'll tell anyone anything about me pretty much like right off the bat if they ask. But there are some things that'll be harder to talk about that I won't want to talk about that I'll probably save for very, very few specific friends, you know? And there's those friends that like truly understand you and they've heard the worst of you and they still love you and they don't care. And you've heard the worst of them and you're like, that's the worst you've got? Okay. You know, and they're still your best friend. I think that's like the coolest thing because throughout losing friend groups, I remembered the ones that have been there consistently, even though we haven't hung out. Like all of the times that we've had have been positive. I mean, we've had moments and stuff, you know, shit happens. We've been in fights where we didn't talk for like a year or something, but we're good now. Like we always work through it and they're always there for me consistently. Anytime something happens, like last year was the worst year of my life because so many people died that were close to me and it was hard. I lost like everything. I lost that friend group at the same time. I lost like my housing situation. Everything was just kind of up in the air. And on top of that, I had all these health problems and stuff, probably because of all the stress. And throughout all of that, I had those same people that were there, like reaching out like, hey, if you need anything, let me know. And it's like, you kind of take those for granted sometimes. You see all those messages like, oh, if you need anything, I'll be right there. You're like, okay, that's good to know. And then you actually need them and you kind of pull yourself up and you kind of stay in this little bubble and you're like, I don't want to hurt anybody else with like what I have going on. I don't want to bother them with my problems and stuff. It's hard, but it's good to know that at least you have those same people. And sometimes it takes losing a lot of people to realize the people that you had the whole time, you know? Whoosh, that got deep.
Yeah, we diving deep. what you were talking about shoveling. What you're talking about feeling like within those certain friend groups. So that we have like this is a Tony Robbins concept. He explains that we have like different like levels of like consciousness. So yeah, and there's like a conscious level. They assign like the color blue to it, where we find safety and we have like needs fulfilled by being a part of a group, and that is like another like a gang. Like it could be like a negative environment. Not quite.
No.
Yes, it's not quite that, but it's similar. Yeah, like so like you could have like you find like your lower consciousness needs being fulfilled by being within the group, but then at the same time you could still be exposed to like negative things. So it's just like I can't remember the other colors. Like it goes from like blue to like one of the higher ones is like orange, where orange is like you're always, it's like more like self-development, like always like using things to like your benefit, if that makes sense. I could be like butchering this totally, but just that you just like reminded me of this concept.
Wait, when you say that, do you mean like in a good way or a bad way? Like focusing on yourself in a good way, or focusing on yourself where it's like the id complex and you're just going off of things that give you pleasure?
it could be like it's like neutral, like that's just like the way you operate. Like it could be to a point where maybe like it's detrimental, but it's also like could be like super in your favor. Just like you could, like if you're a part of a group, like I don't know, another one they talked about was like being in like the army or something, where
Mhm.
like if everyone like comes together with a specific like mission and goal and like does the teamwork, then like the mission gets accomplished.
Yeah.
Or yeah, so it just depends. And like we there's like all of them like serve a purpose. Like I wish I could remember it. I don't have the notes in front of me right now, but yeah, you
It's really interesting. It reminds me of, in psychology, there was, I'm trying to remember, it wasn't Freud. It was somebody else that talked about, your unconscious, your subconscious, and then your consciousness, and
Carl
they used
Jung.
Berg. What was it?
Carl Jung.
Pearl, maybe. Was it Jung? Well, we called him Jung. Now I feel
Oh.
embarrassed. But he probably the second person that has said Young, so I'm pretty sure it's Young, and I've still said Jung because that's what my teacher said.
Wow.
But yeah, it was you had the iceberg reference, and there was like the part that was underwater, and that's the stuff that you're not aware of that you're doing, and then there's the subconscious, which is like you're kind of aware of what you're doing, you're still doing it, but it's kind of things will float into your subconsciousness without you even realizing. You'll do stuff without realizing and stuff, and then the consciousness is the part that's like on top of the water. It's poked out, and that's like all of the stuff that you see on a daily basis. That's like how you act. That's everything that you can see and that you can perceptualize. Is that a word? Did I just make that up?
Yeah, perceptualize.
Yeah, I don't know if I just made
Yeah.
that up. It sounded intelligent, or if that's actually, am I using that word correctly?
Yeah, we're perceptualizing this iceberg.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So the iceberg, it's on top of the water. So it's like the different levels that you mentioned, and it's interesting because that also goes into the hierarchy of needs and stuff in a way, because it talks about, your basic needs being met before you can move on to the next level, before you can move on to the next level. And then you have all of that stuff going on with your id complex, your ego, and your super ego. And then that kind of controls all of the stuff that you do. And there's some people that are acting like kids all the time that just go off of their id complex. It's like the things that bring them happiness, like they'll just go straight for that. And sometimes, we'll see those people as selfish, but being close to someone like that, I'm like, I kind of admire them because they know what they want and they go for it. It's interesting, and it's hard to kind of find a balance of, too, the keyword of the day, balance. But
Yeah.
it's hard because, it's either this fear of being selfish that makes you do things only for other people, and then there's I'm doing everything for myself and I feel better about myself, but now I feel like maybe it might be detrimental to other people because I'm not thinking about other people except for myself. And it's like this constant battle between light and dark, and you're trying to find like just the right amount of gray area to like live comfortably in, where you're doing things, you're attending to your own basic needs while still being there for other people, and still knowing what the limit is in terms of being selfish, like what it means to be too selfish when you're just focusing only on yourself. And then there's, I focused on myself, so now I can help other people. It's interesting the way the brain works without
Yeah,
you even doing it.
yeah. I believe that we in order for us to like give love, even like, or give like healing love, we
Mm-hmm.
have to be able to like heal and love ourselves. Like we has to like generated within ourselves first, and then
Yeah.
like we become like so abundant with it that it starts to like our cups like overfill into like our neighboring cups, like whoever is there to receive it. So
Oh, that's nice.
yeah, thanks. Yeah, that's like so that's what's been like my driving force, like one of my philosophies. It's like I know that if I attend to my needs and like like make myself like as fruitful as possible, then
Mm-hmm.
all of a sudden like I have too much fruit for just myself, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and you give it out to other people.
Yeah. Or like
It's
yeah.
There's some people that don't even realize when they have too much for themselves.
Mm.
because they'll just keep it all to themselves. And a lot of times they're not going to be like, oh shit, I have so much, let me give it to other people. And it's interesting the way that you visualize it, because I feel like I can make that into an art piece. That immediately goes straight into my brain of like, oh, I can make this.
Wow, I'm your muse.
Yeah. That's really interesting. You're just, filling yourself up with self-love. And
Yeah.
it's so hard because what do you do sometimes when your cup is empty, but you're constantly giving it out to other people? It's like, where does it come from?
Yeah. Yeah, that's like you're like scraping the bottom of the barrel. Like imagine like the potential that you do have, like with both, like you're working out with like an empty cup. Like imagine the potential with the full cup.
Yeah, it's like a tank of gas when it's empty and you just keep going, I could push it more. I've
Oh.
done that so many times and it's like empty. It is empty. It's like, I bet I can get home at least,
Mm.
and then you get home and you're like, I could go to work and I'll do it later, and you just keep
Oh
doing
no.
that. It's like your engine's like huffing and puffing and it's like, hey, I'm going to get out soon. You're like, you're fine. And
Mm.
you just keep going. And then eventually you give it enough gas, but there's still damage that's been done to your tank because you've let it go for so long. And it's interesting because I think people are like that too.
Yeah.
We damage ourselves in the long term by doing that without even realizing it. Because you'll start thinking that attending to your own basic needs is selfish. It's hard to kind of reshape the way that your brain works and the way that you see things sometimes.
Yeah, that's been a big part of my life, like the past like 5 years or so, is like reshaping that, like changing the wiring.
Yeah, it's so hard to do because like you can't get that from anybody else. It has to come from yourself.
Mm.
It's interesting because it just reminded me of RuPaul saying, if you don't love yourself, how the hell are you going to love someone else?
Mm.
And I listen to that and I'll chant it. I'm like, yeah, how the hell are you going to love someone else? And I'm like,
Yeah, that's powerful.
I'm working on it now. And it's more of a conscious effort every day. And it starts with like
Yeah.
following certain accounts that make us feel good instead of just the things that we aspire to be but can't be.
Mm.
That's so detrimental because
Yeah, the comparison.
yeah, I followed so many of those like IG models and shit, and I just feel terrible about myself. And then I watched this video on YouTube about photoshopping and I learned more about it, and now I can see it fucking everywhere. It is everywhere. Holy fuck balls.
It's all
Even in
illusions.
videos. They do it in videos now. And I was like, what? You can do that? And it's like a filter that just kind of reshapes your face and stuff. And James Charles has been doing it for a while. And it's something you don't even think about. And you just look through the comments and you're like, surely everyone can see this, right? And they don't. They're like, you look amazing. Your skin is glowing. Your eyes are sparkling. How did you do it? And it's like, it's a filter. And it's so fucked up when you follow those accounts and you see that on the regular and you're just thinking that that's how you should be. But now I'm zooming in on all those pictures and I'm seeing the background not matching up. And I'm like, oh shit, they're impossibly like 12-inch waist is not actually 12 inches. It's probably the size of a normal skinny person. But we see it as like, and we believe it because that's what we see. And seeing that all the time, you just kind of become desensitized to it,
Yeah,
It's interesting.
you're starting to like see behind the veil.
Oh yeah, you see it everywhere. It's fucking everywhere now. And so then I started following these accounts like Body Posy Panda
Whoa,
is her name. I love her so much. And then there's Female Warhol. And
cool.
what she does is she posts pictures, like she'll take pictures that she sees and then she'll like change the words or something like that to be something that you need to hear. So you'll see
Yeah.
it on a billboard or you'll see it on just like a random scrap of paper and you're like, holy shit, I needed that today. And then Body Posy Panda shows her friends and stuff like that. She'll be in a bikini and she's like, so what if I'm fat? So like, who the fuck cares, And she's just showing her natural body as it is, her roles
Yeah.
and everything. And she's like talking about self-love for her roles. And I'm like, holy shit, I can do that. I can just see that and think about that. And if I follow more accounts like that, And that's what I start seeing on my feed most of the time, instead of these impossible images that I'll never be able to obtain. You know, it does a lot for your mental health, because you start seeing it, and the more representation that your brain gets with it, the more it becomes normal. And sometimes that's all it takes, is just seeing a bunch of what should be normal, because it is. Seeing that all the time to be kind of brought back to where you should be, and realizing, oh, that skinny girl is just a normal girl photoshopping herself, or she could just be naturally skinny, and that's fine. Like, it's just the impossible curves and stuff that's just kind of like, whoa, man, you don't need that. Like, not everyone has that. I don't know. And even the people that have those curves naturally will still like enhance the curves to make them bigger and bigger and bigger. And they'll swear to all of their followers that they've had it since they were a teenager. And it's just, oh, it's something that I've been born with. I fucking hate my huge ass. It's so annoying. And then, you know, you'll find an account that like finds like old ass pictures of them, and you're like, actually, this is what they look like. And it's because they couldn't edit this photo of them because it wasn't them who posted it. And you're like, oh, they're actually a normal looking human being. And that's just not what I see, you know? And your brain just sees that all the time. And even if you see them in person, you're probably going to still think it's the same size, because sometimes it's hard to tell like small differences. Like if you just keep gradually enhancing, like you're not going to be able to see it. It's like the frog in the boiling water thing.
Yeah.
Put a frog in like boiling water, they're going to immediately see it. But if you go and you slowly turn up the temperature until it gets to boil, they're not even going to realize it until they're already boiling. It's interesting because I said that 12 times today in this video. It's
the boiling water?
No, I've said it's interesting.
Oh,
I think
yeah.
15 times now.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, this is an interesting conversation. Like,
it is interesting.
Yeah.
But I need to stop saying that because it's a filler word.
Oh, okay. It is?
Well, like is a filler word and is a filler word. And I keep saying that. And after a while, you start being aware of like other words that could be potentially filler words. Yeah. For instance, I've been saying it's interesting when I didn't know how to end what I was saying.
Okay.
And it was interesting. It was genuinely interesting. But it was something that I felt like I needed to say to like close off that little segment. So in that sense, it was a filler.
So do you want to exchange the word with something else, or just like exchange it with silence?
I don't know. I have no idea. I haven't thought that far.
Oh, okay.
It only goes so far.
So you brought up the frog in boiling water. That's the second time that someone's brought it up in this podcast. But
really?
Yeah, but in the other context, it was like my friend made like a DIY hot tub, and they basically
like in their bathtub?
I think it was a bathtub, like outside. Like they lit a campfire under a bathtub of water and made a hot tub.
That sounds awesome. I want to do that. We have a hot tub in like our little community pool thing, but they turned it off, I guess, in the winter.
What?
That's really sad.
Yeah.
One day me and my boyfriend got all ready to go. We got our bathing suits on and stuff. We got our flip-flops, we got our towels, we're all ready to go. We're like, yeah, we do have a hot tub. We drove by it. We didn't even notice. So we got all ready for the pool. We got there and we're like, it's cold. Why is it cold? And we found a way to turn the bubbles on, but the heat wouldn't turn on, and it was just this whole thing, and we just sat there really sad, and we'd keep coming back and forth like, oh, maybe it'll be heated up now that we turn the bubbles on. No,
cold
we
bubbles.
Just like 3 hours just with the cold bubbles going back and forth, being all sad. So we were going to have a nice hot tub time, and then it was taken away from us too soon.
Like hot tubs are powerful. Like
high thoughts at 3 a.m. Yo, like hot tubs are like powerful, like bars.
Yeah, like bars. Yeah, like Quentin Tarantino, he incorporates that in his the way he like develops his stories. Like he'll like type all day, like write, and
Mm-hmm.
then towards the end of the day, he'll go to the hot tub. Like you know how you always get good ideas in the
Yeah,
shower? Like there's
yeah, it's
like
the
that's
hot air and it kind of stimulates the brain to just start shooting out all these ideas.
yeah. So he goes into the hot tub to like shoot out his ideas into a notepad. And and then like that becomes what he starts typing the next day. So it's like his creative process. And I'm like, dang, that's so freaking like it makes so much sense. And I want a hot tub. Like
Yeah, I was just thinking, imagine being rich enough to have a hot tub like in your backyard and just be like, I need to de-stress. I'm gonna go hit the hot tub for a bit, and get
yeah.
all those things out. Because a lot of times you're like trying to transform your little bathtub into a hot tub, and you're doing the best you can, and then you think about it, and there's people like fucking Quentin Tarantino that probably have multiple hot tubs just in their backyard or possibly even in their house. That's amazing.
Oh yeah.
I had a friend that had an indoor pool for a while. I never got to see it, but it's because she's been working since high school. She's just always been working, so she's able to afford it. She didn't really get to enjoy it because she was always at work, but it was a nice thing to have. Damn. I can't wait to be that kind of person eventually. Like one day just to be financially stable. That's like an ultimate goal, to just be comfortable and not have
Cool.
to stress about finances and oh
Yeah.
shit, medical bills. I can't afford to go to the hospital. Like there's so many things that you don't think about sometimes that you just can't afford until one day you have the luxury of like having those things. And sometimes it's basic like medical bills, being able to pay those off, and then sometimes it's like nicer things like a fucking Tesla car. I'm just saying, some of these YouTubers that have like 12 Lamborghinis, I feel like it's not necessary.
I think a Tesla and a hot tub are necessary in my near future.
Oh yeah, I see that. Just one. Like I don't
Yeah.
need 2 Teslas. I need one. That's fine.
Yeah.
But have multiple.
Yeah.
The fuck do you need 6 Lamborghinis for?
One for like every day of
No
the
way,
week.
bros. I'm just saying. I'm not naming names, but Dilbray bros have a lot of Lamborghinis. God, and then there's the Ace family. I'm gonna start a YouTube channel and just complain about all these things that all these other commentary YouTubers have already complained about,
Go
just so
for
I
it.
can get it off my chest. Like,
Yeah, do
didn't
it.
have all these things.
So what like that's a really like good goal you have, to like feel that like that security where you don't have to worry about all these things, like you have that like financial peace of mind. I think that's something that a lot of people like they don't really even like consider. Like a lot of people kind of just accept like that kind of like state of worry. But like we can like I don't know, like I made it a point to like also like do the same thing, like to get that like financial peace. And
Yeah,
yeah, are you into Dave Ramsey?
no, I've heard of Gordon Ramsay, but I haven't heard of
Oh yeah, that's
Dave.
a different one.
Does he cook well, or does he just cook up ideas?
Wow, you're something
Puns.
else. He's
Puns.
a he's a like a financial dude, and he's helped me a lot in like giving me like a strategy to approach my finances, and like he's like shaped my mindset on the way that like money works, and I've definitely like improved my life because of what he teaches. So I recommend that to like anybody that wants to like up their financial game.
Wait, hold up. Is he one of those like entrepreneurs that talks about how you can achieve these things from like their private jet and stuff, and they're like, this is how I made this much money and stuff, like those guys?
No, he has like a talk show where he sits at a desk and he yells at people. He's like what does he say? He's like, you did a whole lot of stupid, but it's okay. Like I got a PhD in DUMB.
What? A what?
I got a PhD in
Oh.
DUMB. So like yeah, he
Yeah, I
like
like
he tells
that.
it how it is. He's just like, no, okay, so you did like these stupid things and you've like you've like realized that, so now we just gotta like figure out a plan to like figure it out, like. And he's just like super like matter of fact, that really like helped me out and like made me realize a lot of things that I've been doing, like stupid stuff that I've been doing with money, that I now like see and are just I'm just like getting better every day. It's like one of those things. So
Sometimes
yeah.
it's like, especially in times like this, it goes to food, and you're like, how can I budget that better so I'm not spending everything on food? Like,
Yeah.
do you know how many meals you can make with ramen?
Oh
I know a
yeah.
shit ton of meals you can make with ramen, and if you just put frozen veggies in them and shit, like, it doesn't have to be bad for you. You just don't use the seasoning packet, and you can, like, put a whole bunch of other shit in there and make it really good. Like,
Heck yeah.
so easy, and you just do that, and you can have a whole ass meal for like the whole week just with
Yeah.
ramen and frozen veggies and spices.
Seriously. And like I've been eating like rice and beans mostly. That's most of my diet. And that's like yeah.
Dude, there was a time, and I will probably never stop talking about this one time because it's like, I'm like, I was oppressed once. It's when I was in like community college and I couldn't afford to have meals. So I lived off of rice and avocado for the longest time because I would steal
Yeah.
avocado from like the neighbors. And my friend actually, because I was living with her, she got mad because she was like, I know that neighbor and they're really nice. And I'm like, but like a girl's gotta eat. Like they have so many avocados. Why can't I take three? You know? And then there was always rice there because I was living with Filipinos, and like, you know,
I know.
Lola and Lolo always had their fucking rice cooking every day. There's always a thing
Yeah.
with rice. And I'm like, shit, all I need is rice and avocado and salt and like
And a karaoke machine.
I can't figure out where my money is going. I'm only spending, like, I can't even afford food. Like, grabs my iPad. What can I
Hmm.
start looking through shit? maybe if I maybe if I use my hoverboard, I could start generating some ideas near my hot tub and figure out where my money is going.
Hmm.
Damn.
Oh yeah, that's another thing that Dave Ramsey says is like making a budget is you telling your money where to go instead of wondering where it went.
hmm
And that just like I don't know, something you said right now like reminded me of that.
My grandpa's been trying to instill a budget within me for so fucking long. And it's like when you don't have income, especially right now,
Oh yeah.
it's not really so much of a matter of like, where's all the money going? It's like,
Right.
I don't have money and I need to pay bills.
Yeah.
And you can't like I'm making art and thinking, oh, okay, I can sell it. But the people that I'm trying to sell to have also lost their jobs. So
Hmm.
it's like we're all kind of stuck in this recession and we're all kind of fucked. And it sucks because you're like, you have to pay bills. They don't stop coming.
Right.
What do you
Yeah.
do with zero income? And it's, oh my
You know,
God.
like yeah. Yeah, I definitely like I empathize with you. Like that's a really like that's a struggle, you know what I mean? Like you can't you can't really like budget what you don't have. Like you can't and but I believe like these times of like limitations, they breed like resourcefulness and like creativity
Yeah.
and like seriously like it like it's just like crazy like how resourceful like humans can be. And it's definitely like in times like this or just like any time where like you just don't have you don't think you have everything you need. It's like it's like you like, at least like in my case, like I just like find a way. I like see what I have, and it's like, oh cool, like I don't have a job right now, but there's like old furniture that my mom wants to get rid of and a bunch of paint that is in the garage. Like maybe I can like paint that and sell that. And then like
Yeah.
it's like things like that. It's just like seeing things that are always there, and eventually like just like the pressure of it is like what creates diamonds.
Yeah, that's true. There's so much pressure all the time.
Yeah. You got a lot of diamonds in you.
Yeah. I think everyone does.
Heck yeah.
I, yeah, like everyone does, especially you just need enough pressure, but I can't just like, as hard as it is right now, I know I'm really fortunate because like at least I'm living with someone that does have resources that is able to, and like if I was living by myself right now, I'd be out on the streets right now because like there's no money coming in, there's no one to cover my half of the rent, and obviously I still owe him everything, and it's like, you know, every month it just keeps adding up and adding up, and it's like this debt that just keeps growing, and it's hard to like be resourceful sometimes. But I remember before I had a car, I was so resourceful. My brother, when he like was alive, he was so fucking resourceful because he didn't have a car and he was afraid of driving. So he would get everywhere that he needed to go by every bus station, and he knew every bus route, and he would take a skateboard as far as it can go. Like he would find a way to get there if he wanted to go. I found out that he went to Tennessee for like a couple months. I'm like, how the fuck did you get there? And he's like, I took a bunch of buses and trains. How do you do that with no money? He found a way. And I have a friend named Kevin. I haven't talked to him in like years, but before he had a car, this bitch would find a way to get anywhere. Like we were dancers, right? And there was dance practice, Academy of Villains, AOV, and it's in LA. And fuck, he found a way to get there. He always found a way to get there. Always. Like no matter what it was, he found a way. I have a friend named Soshi, same thing. She still doesn't have a car. And if she needs to get somewhere, like she went to school in Long Beach, or no, Irvine. She went to school in Irvine. And anytime it was time to get home, she'd find people to get her a ride, or she'd take a train, or she'd find a way to get there. And it's like, I'm forgetting about how resourceful I was before I had a car, because I was the same way. I had to know every bus station. I had to be there at a certain time. I had to walk there and be there 3 hours ahead of time so that I could make it on time, because the fucking buses took 3 hours to get from Camarillo to Ventura. It's insane. But, and then you think about it, it's like fast forward, it's years from then. All of a sudden you have a car, you don't have to worry about that anymore. The muscle memory has been relaxed. You aren't using it anymore. You don't need to be as resourceful anymore. And then something like this hits and you're like, shit, what do I do? When before it probably wouldn't have even affected you at all, you know, because you didn't really have anything, so you couldn't really lose anything. So I don't know.
Sounds like you
Now,
do know.
yeah, I have a lot more stuff to lose. So I have to recognize that privilege sometimes, because just thinking about it, I'm like, shit, I didn't even have this a year ago.
Yeah.
Like, and
Yeah,
I still
that's really important. Like just being grateful for what we do have, and like seeing that, like that the progress in those different areas. Like, oh, I can be grateful for this that I didn't have last year. And
yeah,
like, serious, yeah, you feel me? And that's super powerful. That's how you like start rewiring. That's how you start reshaping your mind, is by like being grateful for like what is here. Like, I mean, I'm grateful that you're breathing right now, honestly. Like I'm grateful that,
oh
like, seriously, like, yeah, I'm grateful we both have like a heartbeat, and that we're like having this conversation right now. So it's like it's so important to like really like appreciate those things. And it, like, everybody has something to be grateful for. Like,
yeah,
yeah. And it's also like when like if you're grateful, you can't be fearful, you can't worry. It's like literally like it dispels that. You can't be grateful and fearful at the same time. You can't be worried and grateful at the same time.
I don't
Yeah.
know, man. I feel like I'm capable of that with anxiety, because I'm like, I'm very grateful for what I have.
Yeah.
But it's that impending doom feeling that it's going to be taken away at any moment.
Uh-huh.
It's like hard to balance because you are grateful. Like you see all of these things that you didn't have before, like these materials and things that you definitely needed and you didn't have like years ago. And then you just think about how they can all be taken away from you because everything is temporary.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of like mourning its death before it's gone. Like you kind of see everything as temporary and you just look at it like it's the last time I'm gonna see it, like this light fixture. But what if it breaks tomorrow? You just have to it was a Buddhist thing actually. Buddha had said something like that where it was like this little statue or something that he had on his shelf, and he said that he sees it as already broken. It was a vase, I think. And he said that he sees it as already broken, so he can't be sad when it breaks. Because when it breaks, he's just like, of course, you know?
Yeah.
And it's interesting to think about that stuff because you're thinking, you know, I'm grateful for what I have, but at the same time, it can be taken away from me tomorrow.
Yeah.
And with all of the fear that's going on right now, you know, you're fearing your own health, you're fearing the health of everyone else. And sometimes it's not really related. Like sometimes you're grateful for what you have, but you're fearful of something completely different. I don't know.
No, I feel you. I think that's really I don't know the right word, but I think that's pretty cool that you see everything as temporary. I mean, like you're like at the end of the day or at the end of the life, like we're not gonna take any of it with us. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, so maybe you're just like a whole like step ahead of everyone else. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
can't have anything to lose if you've got nothing, right? So just get rid of everything you own and you'll be on the right track. I don't
yeah,
know.
like we're not
About
gonna.
it, technically, having everything get taken away from you means that you have nothing left to lose. And then having more stuff means you have more stuff to lose. But at the same time, if you're envisioning it as already broken, then if it breaks or you lose that thing, it's not as big of a deal anymore.
Yeah.
Like my baby blanket I've had since I was a baby.
Wow.
And I think about it every single day of my life because it's gone and I don't know where it went. I lost it in like the last 2 years somewhere. It's just gone. I don't know where the fuck it went. I don't know if it's in a trash can somewhere. I don't know if a homeless person is like snuggling with it.
That's probably the most likely.
I really hope so. But I'm going to be really fucking pissed if it ends up in a landfill and it's just being burned with a bunch of other mulch and shit that people don't need. I'm like, I think about that every night. I'm like, man, if only I had my baby blanket.
Why do you do that?
Stronger. Because that whole thing of, you know, knowing something can be gone in an instant and then also mourning everything that you've lost at the same time, because it just, my brain does not stop going. It just keeps going. And so I think about all of the things that I've lost and all of the things that I've gained and all of the things that I could lose. And it's just the little things. Like I remember like, oh man, my favorite pair of shorts, where are they? Where's my baby blanket? Where's that one pillow that I had? That stuffed animal, where did it go? Like, and you think about these random things that just disappear sometimes. And I don't know why. It keeps me up at night. Where's my baby blanket? That little like safety blanket that I had growing up and throughout my whole life. I brought it with me to college. I brought it with me everywhere. I took it everywhere. Because the most important thing about it was that it had this lace trimming on the edge of it. And I do this thing, I guess I can show you. Like with the edge of it, whenever I was anxious, I'd do this around like the edge of it and just kind of like feel the fabric and like the lace. I'd feel it in my fingers, and it's just oof, I miss that so much, because now I have certain dresses and stuff that have that fabric. So if I'm wearing it, my boyfriend will notice sometimes that I start doing that with like the dress, and he's like, what's wrong? Because I don't even notice that I'm doing it. But a lot of times, like, I don't have anything. I don't even wear pants right now. So I'm like, fuck, like I need something to like do that with. That's why I was using the eraser, the kneadable eraser.
Yeah.
I just think about how different it would be if I had my blanket. I hope she's okay out there. I hope she's comforting someone else. I really fucking hope that there's like some homeless person that saw it and was like, sick, and is just like doing that thing to the, you know, the edge
Yeah,
of it.
finding that comfort in that, like, yeah, I feel you.
I'd feel so much better if I just knew. If I just knew where it went.
Yeah.
And I see that it wasn't just gone in vain, you know? Because like
Yeah.
it could be comforting some homeless person, or it could be some drunken college student that pissed all over it and like left it on the sidewalk and was like, the fuck is this, and like pissed on it or something like that.
Both of those could have happened. Like,
Yeah.
like it could be the homeless person being comforted by this pissed on blanket.
It could be like home to a family of raccoons or possums.
Yeah. All three at the same time somehow, like in some dimension, I'm
All
sure.
living together in happiness.
Just cuddling on the couch. Okay, so like I got a funny story for you about a Pomeranian. So
I love
like,
Pomeranian.
yeah. Just like talking about like cuddling with homeless people and possums. So like
Good story. It's a good place for it to keep going.
so it was a like a cool like overcast day, and I was very warm in the house, and I was laying on the couch like just like super like cozy, and my family is like, oh, we're gonna go to the mall, do you want to come? And I'm like, no, I'm good, like I'm gonna like do this exactly what I'm doing right now for I don't even know how long. And then anyways they leave, and I'm just like enjoying my coziness on this couch. And so the little Pomeranian, her name is Baby. Baby comes like and cuddles with me on the couch. Like, so she starts off to my right, like she jumped up and
Mm-hmm.
is like right here on my chest kind of. And
Yeah.
then I fall asleep. I'm not quite sure how long I was out, probably a couple of hours. And I wake up and she's like in between me and the couch on the opposite side. So like she's in this like warm little pocket that she just like I just have a fuzzball like like just like asleep in bliss to my left, like so anyways that's what your possum piss blanket reminded me of, like
It's like underneath a little dumpster, but it's all covered up and warm. It's like hidden.
uh,
Having the time of its life. Like, damn, I don't know who let this thing go, but thank God.
uh Jess, I want to start wrapping this up, but it was a really a pleasure and an honor to speak with you. And I have a lot of like, I know like we don't really know each other, but I have a lot of like love for you, and I don't know if like you can like
No,
sense
I
that, but yeah.
have a lot of love for you too. I feel like we have similar personality types.
Yeah, like the you take that Myers-Briggs test.
Yeah, I'm ENFP, but I like, I don't know, man. I'm 49, 50%. So it's like ENFP, but then it's just that little 1% difference that makes me an INFP. It's just real quick. It's like that little.
Oh, yeah. So yeah, I have the that little difference between the P and the J. So I'm ENFP or ENFJ. I think right now I'm
No fucking
ENFJ.
way.
Yeah, so we're like the same but like the opposite. You know what I'm saying?
No, I
Like,
get it.
yeah.
That J that like it makes you more proactive. I have a friend that's an ENFJ too, so she has like the same kind of like wild personality, but at the same time she takes action and she does things. She's the leader. She like, you know, leads a group of people, and then I'm really good at following, but sometimes I'll lead too, and it's just, you know, it's just the way our personalities are. But yeah, she's the same way. She'll have like the same wild crazy idea and she'll be like, yeah, let's fucking do it. But then
Heck
she'll
yeah.
also be like, wait, let's think about it for a second. And she'll be like, okay, this is how we're gonna do it. You know, but
Yeah.
she'll instigate the plan to do the thing. and I've come up with the idea. I'm so good at throwing out ideas. I can just sit there all day and throw out thousands of ideas. But when the thing needs to be done, like if we're making a short film, it's like, what are we going to do with all those ideas, Jessica? We need a plan. We just need that one ENFJ that's like, here's how we do it.
Yeah, that's super important. Like finding the right team to like fill in like the strengths and the weaknesses, like finding that complementary
Yeah.
people. That's like finding like what is it called? Oh, I can't remember, like the superhero groups.
What? Superhero groups?
Yeah. Dang it. There's like a council. Never mind. I'm
No, wait, I want to learn.
Oh, there's like what was like Superman a part of? The Justice League. Kind of like that.
Justice League. Okay.
Is that what I'm thinking? I don't think that's right, but the Justice League works in this example.
Like part of a league and finding people like you that kind of accomplish the same goals kind of thing.
You know what's better is like having like a balanced Pokemon team. Like
I love how it jumps from superheroes to like Pokemon. Yes. That does make sense though.
Yeah.
Because you gotta have like enough of everything. You gotta have like, you know, the earth-based ones, but then, you know, every once in a while you're gonna need a fire-based one, and then every once in a while you're gonna need a fucking Bulbasaur. Like, you're always gonna need something, and it's good to have like one from each category to kind of balance everything out, you know?
Exactly.
My boyfriend's like the complete opposite of me in every possible way.
Wow.
The ISTP.
Oh.
So it's like, I got that one checked. So I just get more friends. I have a friend named Caleb, and he's the mixture of my personality and my boyfriend's personality together. So it's weird. So we gotta have like one of every group. I do have an ENFJ, the Fred group, but I haven't hung out with her in a long time. So if you're looking to fill in the spot, you know, just send an application to my email and I'll take it into consideration.
Okay. I'll attach my resume and like all my experience as an ENFJ. Like
Yeah, everything. This one time when I was 10, I did this one thing. I was like, thank you. I will take that into consideration.
Yo, but like that like doing that like the J gives you.
Yeah.
That's like it's like what's kind of driving this podcast. Like at first I didn't really know why I was doing this, but I just knew that it had to be done. And
Yeah.
like
No, I get it. And then you gathered an ENFP to join in.
Yeah.
Because it's, if you just find another ENFP and they're like, hey, you want to do a podcast? It's like, sure, why the fuck not?
Heck yeah. No.
I have a friend named Hunter who's also an ENFP, and you should do the podcast with him for one day and just see what happens. The shit that comes out of him sometimes.
Yeah, I'm down.
But he's served as he studied, I keep thinking of these letters. He studied to be an EMT, and boy, the things that he's experienced.
Wow.
I get to talk about it later in a YouTube video eventually. I know I will, but he is like, you can just ask him anything and it'll remind him of a story from like 12 years ago, and he'll just launch into it in full detail.
Cool.
And he'll just be able to remember the entire thing, print out an essay with all of it just on the spot.
Yeah, I'm down for story time.
Good. Yeah.
Story time with Hunter.
Yeah. I'll send you his info and I'll
let's
just let him know.
connect us. And then I wanna get a podcast with you and Claire, my theater friend.
Yes, theater.
Heck yeah.
We'll talk about musical theater and nerdy shit.
Yeah. I'm stoked. Is there anything you wanna let the people know before we go? How you wanna end this?
Yeah, guys, watch my phone swap that one time that I did that thing on phone swap on that one episode on Snapchat. If not, it's totally fine. But, you know, go look at that if you haven't. And also hug your loved ones close, and hug your puppies if you have them, and hug your cats if you have them, and your pets, and digitally hug the people that you love, and yourself. Give yourself a hug. I think that's really important.
Yeah. I realized that I do most of my self hugs in warm showers, which is like it's kind of counterintuitive. Like I feel like you would self hug normally like in the cold,
Yeah.
but no, it's like in hot showers.
I mean, sometimes you have to because, you're trying to get those spots. You
Yeah.
just kind of end up hugging yourself because you're trying to reach your back. I mean, whatever it takes to get that hug in there, that's, it's important.
Gotta get those hugs in, you guys.
Get them where you can. Hug your stuffed animals if you have them. If not,
Yeah.
make one.
Mm. Imagine one.
Imagine one. Imagine dragons. All right. I'm gonna go make some food because I didn't eat today.
Oh yeah, go do that self-love. Feed yourself. All right. Jess, thank you. It was a pleasure. I'll catch you on the flip side.
Catch you on the flip side. I appreciate this time. Thank you.
Yeah.